Every morning before the monsoon rain cuts through the haze, 3 boxers take to the streets of Thailand. They're each training for the fight of their lives. And before they step into the ring, they will batter their knuckles raw. Within the next few weeks, 13-year-old Gong Prai Sojintana, Westerner Sam Sheridan, and female fighter Boonterm Kipmuti will face their toughest opponents yet. They each have different reasons for taking on such a brutal sport, but they all share the same dream: to prove themselves in the world of Muay Thai. Poised at the crossroads of Southeast Asia, the Kingdom of Thailand reveres its traditions. Every breath carries a prayer, and every fighter moves to an ancient rhythm. Muay Thai, or Thai boxing as it's known, orchestrates form and ferocity. With Buddhist ritual and a steadfast code of honor. Gong Prai, Sam Sheridan, and Boonterm may look like Western-style prize fighters, but they pack a more extensive arsenal.
You put a Muay Thai fighter against a boxer, the boxer's going to the hospital, no question.
It's often confused with boxing and kickboxing, but Muay Thai is neither. International style, or Marquess of Queensberry boxing, focuses on the fists. Kickboxing lets a boxer use his legs. But Muay Thai goes one step further, unleashing every weapon at the fighter's disposal, including elbows and knees, which are outlawed in boxing rings around the world. Before the monsoons pass, these 3 barefoot boxers will finally have the chance to prove themselves in this age-old sport. They're each counting on a victory, but just going the distance could take everything they've got. Every year, young hopefuls leave the fields and factories determined to be the next big thing. The best of them can earn in one night what their parents make in a year. For kids like Gong Prai Sojintana, boxing may be the only way to escape poverty. Every day before school, he works out in his backyard, prepping for his next fight.
When I was young, my parents were very poor, so I started boxing to earn money.
For the last 10 years, Gong Prai's mother has taken in kids from the neighborhood, raised them as her own, and trained them to be boxers. Gong Prai has been watching and waiting since he was 4 years old, but now it's his chance to fight for the family. He's been boxing pro for a year, and already he's knocked out 7 opponents. All of his fights have been at the local level, but with his next match he has a chance to move up, to finally prove that he's a real contender. Just a few hours from Gong Prai's makeshift ring stands one of the best boxing camps in Thailand, Fairtex. Fairtex attracts champions from all over the country, but there's an unlikely fighter among the ranks. Sam Sheridan is a 25-year-old American, a Harvard graduate and an amateur boxer who's been training at Fairtex for the last 5 months with just one goal in mind: his first Muay Thai fight.
I can't wait. I'm really excited about it. I've been here for 5 months training, and I'm dying to try it out, really.
Preparing Sam for fight night is legendary master Apide Sit Haroon. He's long since retired from the ring, but his bone-breaking kicks are still considered the best in the history of the sport. Even though Sam and Apide don't speak the same language, they've forged an intense bond over Sam's upcoming battle.
This is a one-on-one relationship we have, and I mean, I'm his student. Nothing more I'd like than to win for him.
Westerners like Sam aren't the only newcomers to Muay Thai. In the past few years, a new underdog has emerged. Female boxers like Boonterm Kipmuti have something to prove to everyone who's ever said that Muay Thai is a man's sport. Boonterm is a 29-year-old mother of 2 from Pak Chong, a village 2 hours north of Bangkok. Ever since she was a little girl, she's dreamed of being a boxer.
My father was a boxer when he was a teenager, and he always loved to watch boxing on TV. When I was young, before he died, I used to sit by his side and watch with him.
But tradition barred Boonterm from even touching the ring.
When I was young, I tried to talk to some boxers, but I was told that I wasn't allowed to touch the ring or any of their stuff because I was a girl. It was forbidden. I always wondered why it was taboo, why I couldn't get in the ring. Men and women are different, they said. At that time, I thought I had no chance of ever becoming a boxer.
A few years ago, on the outskirts of Bangkok, Muay Thai officials rigged a new ring just for women and revolutionized the sport. Now Boonterm may finally have the chance to realize a dream she had all but abandoned. Every day, Gong Prai and his training partner run past the weathered ruins of Ayutthaya, the medieval capital of Siam. For hundreds of years, Siamese soldiers trained in the art of hand-to-hand combat, right here in Gong Prai's hometown. Over time, these fighting techniques evolved into a grassroots sport. Instead of using gloves, fighters bound their knuckles with hemp. Sometimes they would even grind in glass to inflict greater damage. Over the years, Muay Thai took on elements of Western boxing, like gloves and the ring, until it developed into the sport it is today. Like the warriors before him, Gong Prai follows a strict exercise regimen. Every day he lifts 15-kilogram weights with his teeth, spars in the ring, and hits the bag over 600 times, all before getting ready for school. If it weren't for the constant training, there might be no school for Gong Prai. The money he makes in the ring pays for his tuition, and the goal is for him to earn enough to go to college. But his education isn't the only thing riding on his fights. The money he earns helps support the children his mother takes in from the neighborhood.
I see that some kids aren't going to school, so I ask them why not. They say, my mother doesn't have enough money to send me, so I give them some of the money that Gong Prai wins to help out.
And there's no shortage of kids who need her help. As in other cities around the world, drugs have devastated this peaceful community. Gong Prai lost one of his best friends to drugs. A boy who grew up at his mother's house, but ran away after becoming addicted to heroin.
He was a pretty good fighter. He's like an older brother to me. The dealers sell drugs to about half the kids in my neighborhood. I don't know why they do it. Easy money, I guess. And a lot of them are drug addicts themselves.
Muay Thai keeps kids off drugs because they have to exercise, to train, and they earn money. They give the money to their grandmothers, their brothers and sisters, for their families.
At 13, Gong Prai may seem shockingly young to be fighting in the ring. But in Thailand, kids as young as 6 fight for money.
First time I boxed, I was 6 years old. I weighed 20 kilos and got about $2.
Boxing is simply a good way to make money. And for many families like Gong Prai's, it's not a matter of living in luxury. It's a matter of getting by.
If I want a lot of money, I'd buy things for my family that they need, like food.
And there are plenty of rags to riches stories to inspire Gong Prai. Rising superstar Gao lifted his family out of poverty. But the 15-year-old rarely gets to see them. Half his earnings go to his camp. The rest is channeled directly to his parents, who run a tailor shop out of their rented 2-room flat. His boxing camp is like a substitute family, but it's still very far from home. Like many boxers, Gao lives far away from the family he's fighting for.
The camp is about 100 kilometers from my hometown. I really want to go home. I miss home.
Being separated from Gao hasn't been easy for his family either, but his parents and 3 sisters need the money he brings in.
Sometimes I feel bad that I can't support my children, that I pushed my son to be a boxer, to support himself.
Boxing has been so great for the family that even Gao's little sister is gearing up for the fights. He pays for her schooling too, but with an impressive amateur record of her own, she'd rather be a boxer like her big brother. For Gong Prai to become a champion like Gao, he may have to leave his home for a better camp. And if he boxes full-time, he'll have to sacrifice his education. Like many sports, it's a trade-off. Round-the-clock training means something's got to give. Fairtex boxing camp owner Philip Wong knows that most boxers don't choose this career for the fun of it.
Because they are poor and they are not, some of them can't even afford, their parents couldn't even afford to send them to school. So their only hope is that they can be a good boxer, they can make money, and they can support their family. This is their only way out.
I think Muay Thai is definitely considered a gutter sport here in Thailand, as much the same as boxing is in America. The kids here who are fighting are all fighting for their families. This is a chance for them to really make something of themselves.
For a Harvard graduate like Sam Sheridan, Muay Thai isn't about making money. He worked as a first mate, a bricklayer, and a bouncer, all before deciding to spend his savings on training.
I mean, when I talk to the Thais outside the camp, they can never believe I'm doing Muay Thai. Sort of, I mean, why would you do that to yourself? You know, why would you want to beat yourself up like that and work that hard? And you know, this isn't still about knowledge as well. It's still about experience. And like Muhammad said, don't tell me what a man knows. Tell me where he's traveled. You know, where he's been.
Sam also came to Thailand because it's the only place in the world where he could have a master like Apide Sit Haroon in his corner. After Apide won 7 championship titles and weathered over 300 fights, the King of Thailand declared him a living legend.
I think he was a real blessing of an athlete. I mean, he's sort of a really great man. He's one of the greatest men I know. I mean, he'll teach anybody. You know, he'll take foreigners like me who don't know anything. You know, I come here, I don't know anything. I can't even walk without falling down. And he just slowly builds me up, takes care of me.
He's a lot better now. If he keeps training, he'll be pretty good. Sam's determined, and if he trains for 2 or 3 more months, he'll be better.
Sam good.
Happy to good. Having fun?
Okay.
Sure.
Sam's geared up to fight, but he has a rare problem for a Muay Thai boxer. He can't find an opponent in his weight class. Sam weighs in at 85 kilos, but most Thai fighters don't weigh more than 60, making Sam a challenge for Fairtex promoter Anthony Lin.
So Sam, it took us actually about 4 to 5 months to line up a fight. The Thai audience considered the big guys slow and not intelligent enough because they move too slow.
Anthony is forced to import a fighter from Japan, an opponent they have never seen and know very little about.
All I know is I'm fighting a Japanese guy. It's supposedly his first Muay Thai fight. He's got some other experience, some other full contact experience, maybe karate. It's basically all I know. We'll see. I mean, a lot of time, you know, it won't be his first fight. It's his 20th fight. We'll know pretty soon.
There are other Westerners at Fairtex, but not all of them came to fight. Sam's roommate, Blue, came from Sweden hoping to lose weight. With the support of the camp, he's lost over 30 kilos.
I'm more happier now than I was 3 years ago when I was very big. I felt that it felt hopeless. I'm more self-disciplined, maybe a little bit tougher.
Like Sam Sheridan, Boon Term doesn't know what to expect from her first fight. But after a lifetime of waiting, she's ready to get into the ring.
I know I want it, and I think I can do it. I'll give it my best shot. In the old days, there weren't any women boxers, so I finished school, helped my mom with her small business, got married and had kids. Boxing wasn't an option.
It would be over 10 years before she turned on the TV and saw something that would change her life. The construction of a women's ring at the Muay Thai Council's headquarters in Rangsit. Since many Thais believe that a woman's touch pollutes the ring, Council President Amnoi Ketbamrong built a new ring just for women.
Because of the shape of our arena, we could set up 2 rings, one for men and one for women. This is the only place in Thailand where women can fight.
Despite the old taboos, women from all over the world flocked to the sport. And Boon Thurm made an extraordinary move. She left home to pursue Muay Thai. A world away from her village lies Bangkok's Khao San Road. Tourists from all over the world crowd into Khao San's cheap hotels and bars. But off the main drag, down a sliver of an alleyway, is one of the most extraordinary Muay Thai camps in Thailand. Chitty Gym, Boon Thurm's home away from home. Founded by retired boxer Chitty Damriram, the gym is a haven for Thailand's female boxers. Chitty is considered a pioneer in the sport because of his willingness to train women. Some of Muay Thai's first female champions came from here. Now, Chitty is betting on Boon Thurm.
She's the one of the top girl and the best girl for fighter.
One of Chitty's female champs is Niamh Griffin, an Irish woman who came to Thailand to teach English, took up the sport as a hobby, and became the women's junior featherweight champion.
But when I started first, I didn't realize that there was quite a lot of non-acceptance of women. It was just a fluke that I ended up in a gym where, Chitty takes you man, woman, white, black, Thai, anything, he'll train you.
Acceptance is growing, but women's Muay Thai has had to put up with some minor adjustments, including extra padding, in response to concerns that women might get hurt.
What I really object to, and strenuously object to, is they make us wear like a padded bra, and it makes me look like I'm Dolly Parton, makes us all look like, striding out there like cleavage first into the ring.
And unlike the men, women boxers are forbidden to throw elbows.
Didn't want to see women bleeding on the TV, it's one thing to see some strapping young lad and he's, indifferent to it, but it's another matter to look at a woman.
Women might have successfully broken into the sport years ago if it weren't for Muay Thai's violent reputation.
People have asked me before if I feel bad about hurting someone in a fight, and my answer to that is that we're both professionals. She gets into the ring with the same intent to knock me out and to do damage to me as I do to her. It's not like I'm just picking on people walking down the street. It's like asking a rugby halfback, do you feel bad for running over that guy? Of course you don't, because it's just part of the sport.
Fat lips and cracked ribs are a given for any fighter, male or female. But the sport has also claimed more than a few lives. Some countries even banned its signature elbows and knees after ruling them inherently dangerous.
Muay Thai is a dangerous sport, but it's up for the Olympics. It might be in the next Olympics as an exhibition sport, and sure, it's dangerous, but so is downhill skiing. People get paralyzed doing that all the time.
Even though Muay Thai's worldwide popularity is growing, fighters still have to fend off critics who claim it's nothing more than a human cockfight.
Again, it's painted negatively by the Hollywood, like Bloodsport, where a guy comes in and just kicked the other guy and blood flying, And Muay Thai is beyond that. Muay Thai is not about beating the other guy and killing the other guy. Muay Thai is about applying what you have learned to beat your opponent.
And there's another side to the sport. It's code of honor.
In the traditional camps, when you sign up, you take an oath, and one of the tenets of the oath is that you will respect other people and that you will never harm someone because of what you learn.
It's more than just good sportsmanship. Thailand is 95% Buddhist, and the gentle current of Buddhism runs through all aspects of Thai society, including Muay Thai.
I'm Buddhist. I believe in honesty and the Buddha, and respecting your mother, father, teacher, and the Buddha. If we show respect and gratitude, we will be successful.
The rituals begin in a back room, where an armband is strapped around the boxer's biceps. Monks often bless these amulets, which are believed to protect the fighter from injury. The most important piece goes on last. The Mongkong crown is rolled out of prayer scrolls and blessed by monks. It's passed from boxer to boxer and reminds them that they aren't just fighting for themselves, but for their families, their trainers, and their camps. Every bout begins with a ritual called the Y Crew, when boxers pay homage to their parents and their trainers. The Y Crew fuses with the Ram Mui, or fight dance. This elaborate dance honors the spirit of the ring, who protects and watches over the fighters. The Y Crew varies from camp to camp, and some fighters even improvise. Some gamblers claim they can predict the winner based on which fighter does a better dance. Sam isn't Buddhist, but he wants to perform the Y Crew just to show his respect for Apide and his family. On the big night, Sam will be doing the same Y Crew that Apide did when he was young.
Okay. See, when he turns, he does this, he goes, okay. That's the opponent's corner, he doesn't even look at it.
Outside Thailand, fighters often abandon the pre-fight rituals. Many international fighters have either dropped the Y Crew or been booed out of the ring.
The audience didn't really like that because they thought it was a girl thing, sissy stuff. Oh, why is a tough guy doing the dancing?
My parents, thinking about Happy Day.
Yes, sir. Okay.
When the dance ends, the fight begins. The boxers unleash the 8 weapons of Muay Thai. 2 fists, 2 elbows, 2 knees, and 2 feet. 8 weapons that together create a walking arsenal.
And it used to be you could headbutt as well. You can't do that anymore, just too bad. But.
The more powerful the blows, the more points they earn from the judges. Kicks net more points than punches. And unless there's a knockout, most fights are determined by the tally.
It's like a chess game, how to set up your opponent so that you can attack at the right moment. It takes more than just hard work, training, this and that. It takes a lot of up here and what's in here in the heart.
I mean, it's sort of the ultimate individual contest. It's you and it's him, and that's it, basically. I mean, it's all you've got. There's not a lot of interference from anyone else. It's just the two of you and see who's a better man. You know?
And it's all packed into 5 ferocious rounds.
I can handle 12 rounds in international boxing. It was easy for me. But in Thai boxing, by the 3rd round, I'm huffing and puffing.
Even in his time off, Gong Prai can't stop thinking about his next fight.
My upcoming fight is with a really good fighter from another town. This fight is really important for me because it will test how good I am. If I can beat him, that means I'll be better than he is. My parents always tell me, don't be afraid. Your opponent isn't better than you. You'll be better.
Boon Term doesn't know much about her opponent, but she does know that she could be for some serious pain. Even with the ban on elbowing, women's Muay Thai can deliver rib-cracking blows. And as if the sport wasn't tough enough, breaking an age-old barrier is even harder.
People aren't so much negative as just, they just think it's hysterically funny. You know, they just look at you and they say, "You're a fighter?" No, because they have this idea that women fighters are, you know, this great big butch and they've got like shaved head and big muscles and hairy armpits.
Now, instead of thinking that women are all lovely, men are more aware. They tease me and say, "Please don't beat me up." Our friends tease my husband. "Hey, watch out for your wife. She's a boxer. Don't drop your guard. Don't glance at other women." Sure, they tease us sometimes.
Thai women have taken steps towards equality over the years, but it's still remarkable for a middle-class housewife like Boon Term to take up such a rough-and-tumble sport. Boon Term lives at the gym, but with her first fight less than a week away, she takes a detour back home.
I have 2 responsibilities that I have to divide my time between: taking care of my sons and boxing.
Boon Term's husband is a professional musician, and while he tolerates her dream, he doesn't share it.
ก็นิดหน่อยฮะผมถึงไม่ค่อยอยากไปดูเขาชกกันมันไม่ใช่อาชีพ
I feel a little uneasy about it. That's why I don't want to see her fight. It's not a normal occupation for most people. Boxing's an occupation in which you get hurt, and at the same time you hurt others, and over time, it damages your brain.
Boon Term's husband doesn't want her or their sons to box, but she's sure that her father would have felt differently. He always wanted one of his sons to be a boxer, but no one could have guessed that his daughter would be the one to fulfill that dream. After years of being told that she can't do it, Boon Term truly has something to prove on fight night.
Once you become a boxer, you wish for a championship belt. If I won a belt, it would bring prestige to my family. If my father were alive, he would be proud of me.
There's no outlet for her talent in the village, so she's taken the extraordinary step of leaving her family for months at a time and living 2 hours south, in Bangkok. Inside Bangkok's steamy maze of traffic is the legendary Lumpini Stadium. Named after the Buddha's birthplace in Nepal, Lumpini is the Caesar's Palace of Muay Thai, the ultimate battleground where up-and-coming fighters duel with the best boxers the sport has to offer.
So you're seeing the best fighters, which makes it exciting, and also the crowd is very knowledgeable and also very interested, all gambling and yelling at each other, and you see the trainers and they're screaming and they're so into it. I mean, the trainers are almost throwing themselves onto the ring to try to tell the fighter what to do, and everybody in the crowd knows what the fighter should do, so they're all yelling at the fighter, hey, come on, come on, come on. And I've seen some epic battles. I mean, I've seen fights where you couldn't believe these guys were still going towards the end.
The wealthiest fans sit ringside, close enough to feel the spatter of sweat. But the hardcore gamblers line the upper balcony, where betting reaches a feverish pitch. It's as wild as the floor of a stock exchange, but the real action is in the ring, where two fighters clash on Muay Thai's most hallowed grounds.
Lots of famous boxers have had matches at Lumpini. I'd love to fight there.
But before Gong Prai can even think about Lumpini, he has got to win his upcoming fight. With his pivotal fight just 3 days away, Gong Prai is pushing himself harder than ever. The fact that he trains at home instead of an established camp will make this next match all the more difficult, especially since his opponent is far more experienced than he is. Gong Prai's father boxed too when he was a boy. He has several wives, which isn't uncommon in Thailand, and one of his daughters by another wife is already a champion. With the big fight on the horizon, he's been spending as much time as he can coaching Gong Prai. Intense training at a top-notch camp would polish his raw talent. Then Gong Prai would have to live far away from the people he's fighting for. It's a sacrifice Boon Term has already had to make. Boon Term thrives off the intensity of Chitty Gym. Still, her sons never stray far from her mind.
I wonder how my sons are doing at school. Who's taking care of them, feeding them, bathing them? Normally, I would do all that. I thought they would be all right without me for a while.
The last 2 months have been grueling. But finally, after waiting her whole life outside the ropes, Boon Term is about to find out if she has what it takes inside the ring.
I think about the fight and I can't sleep. I keep thinking about how to defeat my opponent. Every day, I pray to my father and ask for his blessing and say, "Father, please help me win this fight."
Backstage, the smell of liniment oil mingles with sweat. Boon Term's trainers lather her body with oil so the blows will slide off. And even Chitty will be by her side all night, but the people she cares about the most aren't there. Her father has long since passed away, and her husband and sons couldn't make it to Bangkok for the fight.
If there's a chance, and if he's ready, I'd like my husband to watch me fight someday. I'd appreciate his support, and for him to see what I'm doing.
She's dreamed of this night her whole life. But with the adrenaline pumping, all she can think about is the next few minutes. The audience isn't expecting much from a couple of first-timers. They couldn't be more wrong. They waste no time going on the offensive. While more experienced fighters might try to pace themselves, the women attack each other so relentlessly, they run the risk of burning out. Time and time again, Boon Term and her opponent clash. Round after round, the two women pummel each other. Boon Term leads with a steady stream of knees and kicks. It's an exhausting pace, but neither boxer will back down. In the fifth and final round, Boon Term cannot be stopped. Knee after knee, Boon Term is wearing her down. Each kick is charged with 29 years of anticipation. Boon Term unleashes a powerful kick to the chest. The opponent struggles to protect herself. It becomes clear to the referee that the opponent is dangerously outmatched. He suddenly stops the fight, fearing for the other woman's safety. Boon Term has just won her first fight by a technical knockout. Ever since childhood, tradition denied her this victory. But tonight, she's finally proven that she's a born fighter.
This is my special concoction I'm making here. First I gotta knock the ants out of my cup. I got ants in the cup. Ants getting everywhere, so. We have an egg, bruised yeast, a little water to ease everything up. Doesn't that look good? Mix that up into a sort of a paste. And then delicious.
Fight night gets closer. Sam's looking stronger and more confident.
Just imagine the Chariots of Fire theme. I feel I'm confident, and yeah, of course I'm worried a bit. Not too bad. I have dreams about losing by decision and having to go to the bathroom and not making it to the fight, but I don't have dreams about actually losing the fight. So I'm not. I'm confident. I think unconsciously, and I think I'll be all right.
Two hours north, Gong Prai, his mother, and his entire neighborhood are depending on a victory. But winning isn't the only concern. No matter how hard he trains, serious injury is always a risk. Even at 13 years old, Gong Prai knows what it's like to be taken down and still feel dizzy the next day.
My parents worry a lot because they're afraid I'll get knocked out. I'm worried about injuries, but I want to help my parents. That's why I fight. I want to help earn a living.
For Sam, injury has suddenly become a real concern. He's never faced the brutal realities of a full-scale Muay Thai fight. With only 2 days left to go, he gets some bad news. Anthony was misinformed about Sam's opponent. The fighter flying in from Japan is no novice. He was an Osaka karate champion, a rival far more experienced than the promoters at Fairtex ever imagined.
It doesn't matter if you win or lose. The most important thing is that you go in the ring, go over that fear that, hey, I did it in this lifetime.
Hopefully, he won't hurt himself or he will do well. But definitely, we won't let him hurt himself. If we don't think he can do it, we just throw up the white towel on the ring.
I have no strengths as a fighter. I mean, I've never fought. I'm not very fast. I'm in decent shape. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Finally, as the sun goes down, Gong Prai's crucial night has come. He's up to the challenge, but even before he steps into the ring, he knows this will be his toughest fight.
I want him to box. I want him to be a champion, to be a role model for these children in our community who are on drugs, and I'll do my best to support him.
If he wins tonight, he'll finally move up to a level where he can make some real money for his mother and his neighborhood. If he loses, it's more of the local circuit. At 13 years old and 56 kilos, he's won all but one of his previous fights. Gong Prai is determined to win. But from the start of the Y Crew, it's clear that his opponent, dressed in red, is older and looks more polished. Less than a minute into the fight, Gong Prai is kicked down. He refuses to be intimidated by his opponent's experience. He tries to stay focused, but he knows it will be an uphill battle. Gong Prai finally strikes a rhythm in the second round and tries to take the offensive. Gong Prai's best weapon is his elbow. It earned him most of his 7 knockouts. But in this close quarter grappling, he can't seem to use it. Again and again, Gong Prai hits the floor, but he always gets up just as quickly. It's a brutal match. The older boy is stronger, but the underdog will not stay down. With each agonizing round, they press on, trying to knock each other off balance. Gong Prai is thrown down yet again. He's bruised and battered, but he finally breaks through with a teep push kick. The fight is beginning to take its toll on both boys. The drumbeat signals the last moments of the fight. Gong Prai knows he's beat, but he keeps charging. It's not enough. After 5 devastating rounds, the fight is over. Gong Prai went the distance, but he lost by points.
After the fight, Gong Prai apologized to me. He said, "I'm sorry, Mother, for disappointing you." I told him, "It's okay. You're my son. You did well. Next time, we'll find a way."
Exhausted, Gong Prai wants to be left alone. Meanwhile, in the back streets of Bangkok, fight night is starting all over again as Sam Sheridan checks in for his first Muay Thai fight. After waiting 5 months for this fight, Sam finally gets a look at the competition. The situation is worse than they thought. The Osaka champion from Japan is at least 10 kilos heavier than Sam. He's also much older and far more experienced. Even more intimidating, he's covered in tattoos and missing the tip of his little finger. 2 traits commonly associated with the Yakuza, the Japanese mafia. Of course, it could be just a coincidence. The speculation alone is enough to rattle Sam's support team.
We're a little bit worried about this fight, yeah, and actually worried for Sam. He can't break a bone or get a head injury, yeah. So you should keep a toe on your hand if you stand in the corner. Yeah.
It wasn't a fair setup. We thought it was a gentleman's agreement that it would be an amateur initial fight for both. So it'll be a true test of Sam's skill, what he has learned versus a lot of experience. Should anything happen, then we'll go in the towel.
This is not the opponent Fairtex expected, but Apide is still on hand to give Sam whatever last-minute support he can. All too soon, it's time to step into the ring. Step by step, Sam performs the same Wai-Kru that Apide did in the 60s to honor his own trainer. With Sam, the ritual has come full circle. The Japanese boxer skips the pre-fight rituals, opting instead to hang back and wait for Sam to finish. They start methodically enough, pacing themselves and testing each other's strength. The champ lands a good kick to Sam's side. Sam's taller and takes advantage of his height. But the opponent keeps chopping away at his legs and targeting that same spot on Sam's side. The fight is barely underway when Sam makes a drastic error. Apide always warned him to keep his hands up, but out of habit, he lets down his guard. It's a stinging introduction to his first fight. Suddenly, the karate champion begins to falter. The ring is slippery from all the sweat and oil. The Japanese fighter keeps losing his footing. Looks like the champ is already getting tired. After all the hype, it seems that his glory days might be behind him. Trapped in a corner, Sam defends himself with a knee jab. Something the champ's karate background would have never prepared him for. In the first round, the fight goes to Sam. He's just won his first Muay Thai fight by a knockout.
Oh shit! Was I in trouble for you there, man?
Right,
Good
Sam.
job. Good job. Happy for you.
Yeah. He wasn't ready for that.
Great knee. You got him on a knee.
Long after the count is over, the champ is still trying to breathe.
Hey, Blue. Tell me the truth. Was I getting my ass kicked? Was I getting my ass kicked?
No. It's okay.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of excited. Well, it's still excited, so to say. But at first, when he knocked Sam down, like, no. And it's like, come on, Sam, get fight. And Sam, he still going strong, and he knocked him up there, punching, reach, knee. It's like an adrenaline going on, you know?
Great teacher. Best student there is. Tell Claude to say congratulations. Alright. Yeah. It was a close thing. I feel like it was really close. But I was in better shape. And that's all Fairtex. That's all Happy Day. That's all thanks Happy Day.
Yeah, adrenaline's going down now. Yeah, Thai boxing is excitement, you know.
While Gong Prai's injuries heal, his mother won't let him train. Despite the latest setback, his future looks bright. He may not be a champion yet, but he's already a hero to his community. With her first win under her belt, Boon Tam has finally tasted the glory she's always yearned for. But it came at a high price. After the fight, she separated from her husband, choosing to stay at the gym. She eventually returned to her family, but she's still torn between two worlds, clinging to the hope that she can someday return to Bangkok and fight for a title. Sam's training with Apide paid off beyond his wildest expectations. Whether or not he ever boxes again, he'll always remember that one night in Bangkok. No doubt next year's contenders will also come from the slums, the fields, and the most unlikely of places. And then these stories will repeat themselves as a new crop of fighters take their shot at becoming champions of Muay Thai.